What's going on, guys? G2 here with 3-Putt Bogey. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back for our finish on our Maltby STI Complete Club Refinish and Rebuild. This is all-encompassing, and I'm going to apologize to you all in advance because I do not like to do long-format YouTube content. I prefer to keep everything under 20 minutes. This one went about double that, but there is a lot of stuff in here, and you don't have to watch all of it. You can watch little bits and pieces. We have club lengthening, club shortening, club measurements. We have swing weighting. We are doing paint fill. We are doing paint fill cleanup. We are installing and epoxying club head to shafts. We are swing weighting said shafts. We are also doing regrips, and then of course we are going back and checking everything to make sure it is within spec to what the build should be. So it is from soup to nuts, the whole shebang. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. There are chapters below so you can see and go and scan to what certain parts you want to watch or come back and refer to, and I will see y'all next time.
Be the right club today. Yes!
All right, guys, welcome back. So we have got our color scheme. We've actually started this. I'm not going to bore you with paint fill and the process and all that stuff. I'm just going to briefly gloss over it so you get an idea of how I do it. There's tons of videos that use different methods, but this is the one, I guess, for the last 10 years that I've been using that I think provides the best results. And essentially what I use, if you guys watch my channel, you know this. I use this Testors paint. You can get it at the hobby store. They're like $2. I've got a bunch of different colors that you pick up. They eventually go bad, you know, after a year or so. So just, you know, chuck them and go get a new one. It's no big deal. If they get super thick, you can put like a couple drops of paint thinner in there. Just mix it up and it should bring it right back. These Testors come in gloss, they come in flat, they come in metallic. You have literally hundreds of options in terms of color. If you can't find the right color in Testors, it probably doesn't exist. And if you are a Scotty Cameron person, the tester that is practically identical, let me find it, to Scotty Cameron is... It's called Red Metallic Flake, and the number on it is 1529. That's probably not going to show up on here, but this is the one that is identical to Scotty Cameron. Now you can buy Scotty Cameron paint, and it's like $40 for 2 or 3 ounces. This is like $2.50, and it works perfect. Here's some tips when you're doing paint fill. The best way to do this is to obviously make sure that whatever you're paint filling, it's flat, right? You don't want it at an angle because the paint will drip towards that side and then you'll get heavy on one side, light on the other. So depending on what I'm doing, for these, we did a red, white, and blue finish into dots instead of all red. These are gonna go to a friend. He is from Puerto Rico. I wanted to kind of give a little bit of homage to his heritage in using the red, white, and the lighter blue. Even though now Puerto Rico uses the navy blue that the United States uses. Originally, they had a more sky blue, so I kind of went back to that theme. I know it probably looks like they're not even. The white looks huge, but I promise you all the colors are equal. And then on the bottom here, we are doing, like we said, the gloss black on the Maltby, and then we're also doing the number here on the toe in the gloss black. Now we have just put the paint on here. All these other parts are dry, but we just did this and we're gonna clean one up and show you how we do it. But in terms of setting it up to make sure that you have a flat surface, this has been my go-to, tried and true, never messed up, never had an issue. So when I'm going to be doing the sole of the club, it's simply a screw in a piece of wood, and I put some tape over the heads of those screws, and what that does is it just allows this to sit up without you know, kind of wobbling or walking. And then you just simply just give it a little rock, you know, on the screw. You're bending it slightly to give yourself a nice flat surface. And that works out perfect. For the back here, you know, if you sit it like this, it's not totally sitting flat. It's actually canted back that way. So I like to get something, these are PVC. I just had a ton left over from doing some exterior lighting work. PVC cap, and you'll sit it like this, and then basically just sit the head on top. So now you know that your face is completely flat to the ground, and that gave us a nice flat surface to make sure our dots were in there. So we are just about finished with this. Now we'll talk about how you apply the paint very quickly. I again use the tester's paint, and then I get these little brushes. So basically, this is from Hobby Lobby. It's $2.99 for 10 of them. I have these that have the, I took the brush part of it off, right? So these basically act as drippers. So you put it, dip it into the paint, and you'll have just enough on there that when you go to, you know, put it in wherever you're gonna go, you just hold it, and that paint, the capillary action, will fill in what you're trying to do. Super easy. They have pens that are out there. I just find that sometimes when you're using the pen, it doesn't get all the way to the bottom, and you'll end up with air bubbles, which I'm not a fan of, obviously. So just doing that takes a little bit longer. If I have a bigger space, like, you know, this 9, yeah, you can sit here and do drip, 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 drip all the way around, and then just kind of use the pick to move it around. That works. Or one with a brush, just simply dab it and paint it on. This one was used, right? So it's basically not going to be used again as a brush. So what I do is I just get this and I will cut the tip off. And now I have a perfect little point for next time. So, you know, we've got these in various sizes. And that's how you put it in. Once you put the paint in there, let it dry. Be patient. I give it like a good 5 hours. Now, one of the things and tips that I do is I use my heat gun. So once the paint is on there, it's kind of like if you've ever worked with acrylic or some kind of liquid resin. You know, you use this and you'll slightly go right over top of where you painted. And that heat will help release any air bubbles that are on there. It'll also help the drying process. You're not holding it there. It is just a very quick scan, and that will take care of it. So once they've fully dried, now we need to remove the paint. And there's 2 methods that I use this in this particular order. And I've got my acetone. This is full strength, full body acetone. Basically just like this. Huge bottle. This thing will last forever. And I put it in a glass container here. Little shot glass. I do have a dispenser that I use, but for something like this, this is perfectly fine. It just, you don't want it to eat away plastic, so don't put it in plastic. Put it in something metal or something glass. So we will just use a bed sheet. It's one of my best ways to do it. You want to stick away from Q-tips, because Q-tips have cotton. That cotton could get stuck in your paint and mess up your finish. So we'll just get that and we will just give it a quick rub. And it's going to get a little messy here in the beginning. You can see there's some streaking, but we are definitely taking paint off. We'll go to the other side. Take a little of the excess off, and we will just go ahead and rub gently all of that paint off, and you can see we have a nice clean image here. Now you probably can see there is some streaking, and that's okay, because the second part of this process involves using something not quite as strong as full strength acetone. So we'll do the 9 here. Okay, that's good. And that streaking is just some of the residual paint that's on the towel. So it's not a big deal. Okay, now if you don't have an acetone dispenser and you're using this method and you know you're going to come back and use it again, just get yourself some aluminum foil and put it over top of that, and that will stop it from evaporating, and this acetone will stay in there for, you know, at least, you know, 24 hours, and you won't have to worry about keeping on refilling it. Now, the second part of this, we're going to use nail polish remover. Now, I like nail polish remover. You want to make sure you get it. This one has vitamin E in it, so it has kind of you know, some kind of lubricant. You want to try to get as clean of a nail polish remover as you can get without any of these additional stuff in there. But it's not even remotely as strong as the acetone. So if you tried to use nail polish remover on what we just did, you would be sitting here for probably 15 minutes trying to get that paint off. But as a cleanup method, it works great. Now, before you go into this, make sure that you have allowed all of this to dry, because every time you rub acetone off of paint, even though we got off what we wanted, we still did touch the paint that's still left in there, and it is still tacky. So give it at least, you know, an hour to dry. Not a big deal, or you can kind of get your little heat gun here and just give it a little boost. Then you're going to go into your nail polish remover, give it a couple pumps, get it nice and clean on there. You know, we got a ton on this, and you're just going to rub. And what this is going to do is it's going to take off all of that residue and not really take much off of your actual paint fill. It's not strong enough to take enough off of that. So like here on the sole, we've got some stuff left over, so we will just use this to clean it up. And you can see, like, there's hardly any black paint coming off of this, and that's what we want. This is just a cleaning part of it. And then we'll set it up on this guy to dry. It's inevitable, guys. Like, when you're doing this paint fill, you're always going to have some kind of wipe transfer. I don't know what the official term is it for, but that's what we're going to call it. It's a wipe transfer. And this just helps you really clean it up. And you can see this nail polish remover goes a long way. If we were using acetone, we would have had to re-dab this towel probably at least 3 times by now. And that is how, at least for how I do my paint fill. And these look pretty good. This is the only one that I don't like, and I'm going to take care of it right now. But everything else looks good. So right now we are waiting for the Ferrules to come in. They are to be delivered tomorrow with the grips. And I will see you in 24 hours, and we will put these guys together and put this project to bed. All right, so here we are a couple days later. Everything's in. In those couple days, I went ahead and I got all my swing weighting done, and I have a form that I use. This is a rough of it. It's basically an Excel spreadsheet. It's extremely nerdy, but it's how I keep track of everything, like club head weight, shaft weight, grip weight, club length, finished end prior to finishing, swing weight before and swing weight after, yada yada. It's all boring, but it's extremely technical, and it's extremely important when you're building a set for yourself or a client or a friend or whatever. Because as a club maker, you want to make sure that you get and put out the best possible product that you can do. Don't cut corners, even though it may be easy. It's just not the right way. But anyway, here we are. Here's the 4-iron. We did a kind of a blue and red just on the back, very minimal. We have the black gloss on all the numbers, 4 through pitch. The 56, we're gonna do a Maltby Max milled. We took out the Maltby logo and we kind of did the red, white, and blue there to stick with the theme of the red, white, and blue on the club head, so it all goes together. We have got our ferrules in from BB&F Co, and they are a red, white, and blue with a little gold on it. I think that'll look pretty good with the shaft. Now, we did change the shaft. We were originally going to go with a KBS Tour S in stiff flex, but I did have these left over from basically a breakup build that I did, and they're True Temper TX90S's. Extremely rare shaft. These are Tour quality shafts. One of the things that I love about these, and when I was doing the spec sheet, it was blatantly apparent how quality makes your job so much easier. When you're looking at the shaft weight for each one of these, they're cut to length already. Everything is done. They all come in at 96 grams exactly, with the exception of the 56, which is not a TX90 shaft. That comes in a little bit lighter. But that is how you know whether you have a good shaft or not. If, no matter the length, 4 iron all the way to 9 iron, they all weigh the same. It makes swing weighting so much easier and a great feel and balance set. So in terms of swing weighting, so we're all on the same page here, the 4 iron here is going to be in a C4. The 5 and 6 is going to be in a C6. 7, 8, and 9 is going to be in a C8. So we're going 4, 6, 8, and then the pitching wedge is in a D0, and the 56 or sand wedge is in a D2. And I like to do that, have a progressively heavier swing weight as you work down the set, because you want a lighter club up here so you can have a better swing speed, and then you want the heavier feel. Remember, swing weight is not in terms of actual weight, it's in terms of perceived feel as you work down to your more stable club. So it'll be a much stable platform to swing in the clubs that you are primarily using for accuracy and greens and regulation. So the only issue that we had with this is because, remember, the 4 was not from this STI set. The 4 is a different 4. And obviously, because it's a different set, the weights were a little different, and the swing weight came to an odd swing weight that didn't match the set. It actually came in at, let's see here, at a C6.5, and we want to take this down to a C4. So, for those of you that are not aware, when you want to go up in swing weight, so let's say, for example, our 7 here is a C5.5, and we go up to a C8, you basically just add weight in the tip, and that moves it. So for every 2 grams of weight that you put into the tip of the shaft, right, just like this, and the club head goes right over top of it, holds everything in there. For every 2 grams, you move it 1 swing weight point. That is in the tip. Now, in the butt, it's different, because that's what we have to do with this 4 iron, because we have to go the opposite direction. We're going from a 6.5 down, not up, down to a C4. So just like you would put it down here to increase the weight, you put it up here to decrease the weight. You're essentially doing a counterbalancing. I don't like that term because counterbalancing has kind of a bad connotation, but that's how you can manipulate swing weight without changing the length of the shaft or removing material from the head. Also, don't suggest doing that. So in order to counterbalance this, what we can do, we can use a couple methods. You can use lead tape, and just basically it's double-sided. You can stick it inside the shaft. You always do run a little risk of it working itself loose if it gets hot or water gets in there or anything like that. They also sell these counterbalance butt caps in various sizes. So this one is exactly just a little light of what we need, but that's not a problem because we can easily, you can see it's hollow all the way through. So we plug the bottom, we fill it up with lead powder, and then we plug the top, and then we have a nice little counterbalance that's exactly measured to the specs that we need. So here's how we are going to do that. We've got our swing weight kit here. We're going to grab our lead powder. We need this plus 4 grams of lead powder. So all together we need 12 grams. So we've got 7 right here, and we'll need 5 grams of lead powder. So we're going to put this on this. And this is how we measure our powder. I'm just going to put it on until we hit 5. Okay. Now I get it. This is a lot of work. It's methodical, but this is what you have to do to get it right. And the reason we're doing this is so that the set has a balanced feel. That's what swing weight does. It gives you a balanced feel from your 4-iron all the way down to your 56, okay? The actual weights of the clubs are not the same. The length is not the same. We're not talking about single length. We're talking about perceived feel. We have been heating up our glue gun here. We're going to plug this bottom port up, and we simply get our 5 grams of lead powder, and we're just going to pour it into our weight port. There we go. Punch here or something to kind of, you know, pack this weight down. We don't want it moving around. Nice solid chunk. And then we'll finish it off by capping it off. Just like so. Doesn't shake, it's not loose, it's all in there. That glue's gonna hold it in. And the reason I like these is because it has a very minimal footprint. So some of the other ones kind of really extend the length of the shaft. This one, I mean, we're talking like a 1/16 of an inch. So it's barely noticeable. So now we've got this ready for our 4-iron. Don't put it in yet, because we still gotta put in the club heads. And remember, if this is plugged, when you go to install your shaft or your club head, it's not gonna go in, it's gonna push it out because you've created a vacuumed environment on both ends, and that's no good. Before you assemble, you make sure that all of your hosels have been cleaned out. So we hit them with the wire brush, we hit them with acetone just to get them all cleaned out. A great little tool to use, and they don't really, I mean, I'm sure they sell them specifically for this purpose. I've just never really found one. I always in the past used a Q-tip to clean them out with acetone. Go to your Walmart and go to the hunting section and go find a bore cleaning brush, right? They sell them in these lint styles. And a 357 Magnum works great on 355, hence 0.357, 357, 0.355. It's just tight enough to go in there and clean it out. Okay, so with all this done, we can go ahead and start to assemble. I am not gonna put this on video because you guys have seen ad nauseum. I've got videos all over the channel that show you how to put a club together with swing weights, with butt weights, grips, all of that stuff. And honestly, I don't like making long videos. It's not my thing. It's not the kind of format that I would want to watch, so I would expect a lot of people share that same sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead and get these guys together, and I will meet you back here when we go, and we're going to be doing some ferrule finishing as well, and then these guys are ready to ship out. Okay, here we are next morning. These were glued up. They sat overnight. Another little tip here is when you make your epoxy, don't throw it out. Just leave it on the counter or wherever your clubs are to see what kind of batch you got. Make sure that it's hard, that it's not brittle, and this sounds and looks perfectly fine. It is nice and hard, and that's what we want. So we know we got a good epoxy batch. Now the next part we're gonna do is probably the most stressful part of the club build for me, because we've put all this work into it, and now we can totally mess everything up. So it is one of the steps that a lot of amateur club makers don't do. One, because they don't have the tools. 2, they don't have the technique, or 3, they don't even think about it. So it's one of those 3 situations, and that is turning the ferrule. So every ferrule, for the most part, unless you're putting one that was previously on a shaft back on, is going to have some kind of lip over. You can see that. We catch on the ferrule. It's going to hang over and stick out. So it's not perfectly flush against the hosel. Now, turning the ferrules is definitely a learned skill. You have to practice this. You have to get your timing right. You have to get your spinning right. You have to have the correct tools. But this little detail right here is what distinguishes an amateur club maker from someone who is professional or is someone who wants to put out the best product as possible. So let's head over to the 1x30 belt sander and get these guys turned. Okay, so to properly turn a ferrule, you're going to need a 1x30 belt sander, and you're going to use a linen belt. These go on GolfWorks. You can probably find them on Amazon too, but I like to go with the GolfWorks just because I know that they're going to be a little bit better quality. Mine is a little on the rough side, but we should have enough here to get through the project. And not necessary, but I got this kind of shaft holder from GolfWorks. I think it was probably $30. And what that allows me to do is I just stuck a little PVC thing on here. That allows me to set this club in here with the shaft, and you just kind of angle it so you get a good amount of pressure, but not a lot, like so. It allows you to just kind of, you can see I can hold it here with my hand and then just turn the club head, because that's what you need to do. Now, the way that you turn makes a big difference, right? The belt is going this way. You don't want to turn with the belt. You want to just turn against the belt very lightly. We are not, pushing this into the belt. This is how I set it up. So I put this all the way up against, and then I will bring my belt to me. Kind of want to hit right in the middle until there's a little bit of tension, like so. Kind of match the angles. You don't want too much pressure on this side, too much pressure on this side. You want it right in the middle. I would highly suggest not doing this for the first time on clubs that you care about. Get something old, mock up one, and just practice, because it takes a little bit of understanding the pressure. You should see the ferrule kind of shave off, like we saw here, right? You should see this ferrule shave off, like that. It should come off in little pieces. All right, let's give it a shot. Okay, now that we got the pressure and the point right, these should go pretty quick. But that was done in probably half the time. And we have no lip. Ferrule is smooth and even to the hosel. So I'll finish the rest of these up, and I will meet you back at the bench, and we'll show you how to totally finish the ferrule, polish it up, and make it look absolute perfect. Okay, so all the ferrules are done. In all honesty, I've been doing this a long time. It took me maybe 10 seconds a club, okay? But take your time the first time and definitely practice on dummy clubs. Go to Goodwill, get cheap clubs with hosels or ferrules on them. You can actually use that to refinish a ferrule. So for some of those older ones, they're probably pretty beat up. It's a nice little way to practice on refinishing a ferrule that is kind of dinged up. But once all this is done, you're going to need to put a finish on the ferrule. And this is another one of those little steps that you can do, even if you don't feel comfortable turning ferrules. But when you're doing a club work for someone, and let's say you're doing regrips, ferrules look a little rough, okay? It's how you bring them back to life. They're plastic, remember. So acetone and plastic work great together in terms of refinishing and revitalizing plastic parts. So I've got my acetone in our little thingy here. And I love this because it allows you to apply without dipping. This is the one that I was using earlier but didn't show you. Amazon, $9, non-conductive canister. Obviously, acetone can't be in anything plastic. It's got to be glass or metal. I like the glass, obviously, because you can see what's going on. And we're going to just put some on here, like so. And then you are just going to get this rag and run it over the ferrule. Be generous with your acetone here. You don't need to be cheap with it. And that will take away any of those brush marks or belt marks that you may have, because remember, we were turning this way, so the marks are going to be going around the ferrule. This just helps you polish them out lightly, and you'll see we're taking, see how there's a little bit of blue on that? That's because we're taking some of the paint off of the ferrule. And you just go ahead and do that. You're going to need acetone every time because it is going to evaporate quickly. And this is also a good way to clean up any residual epoxy that you may have missed on the bottom of your hosel. This is also one of the reasons why, if I am going to paint anything on the hosel, so like remember we didn't fill this in, if I was going to do it, I wait until everything is done, because this acetone would just take that paint right off. So that's it. Those are done. And you've polished the ferrules. Now there's one more step that you can take here. Once these have fully dried, make sure that there's no acetone left on there, to bring them to a high shine polish, right? We've got it on there. It's looking pretty good. Just grab yourself a microfiber. Nothing is going to stick to it on this at this point because it should all be dry. And you're just going to grab the ferrule like so. I'm going to have to switch hands. And just rotate it. And you're going to be pressing onto the ferrule with your fingers. And you should feel where it's at. And just give it a couple spins. And you should feel that it's pretty smooth and pretty slick. And that's what you want. And then now, this thing looks dynamite. All right, now time for some regripping. So, like I mentioned, I got these Champ keys off of Amazon. It was $32 for 13 grips. I don't need all 13 for this, obviously. And then it came with some solution, a hook blade, one of our good old classic cheap Vice golf club clamps, and then it came with already pre-cut double-sided tape. If you change your grips twice a year, figure after every 40 or 50 rounds you change your grips. For me, that is typically twice a year. These grips are totally fine. I think about like a Golf Pride, okay? $12 a grip. To regrip your whole set of clubs, you're talking $150, right? You do that 2 times a year, that's $300. For $40, I can regrip, and then $40 later, I can regrip. So I'm at $80 instead of $300. I mean, you guys are smart. We don't need to explain it any further than that. This stuff is okay. They're grip solvent. It's not great. Honestly, I probably am not going to use it for this application. This is what I would save kind of like for that wedge work stuff. So it is simply going to work as a cleaner for adhesives and things like that, for cleaning up shafts and whatever. I'm not going to use this as a grip solvent. These are kind of on the fence about. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with them. Let's take a look here. Not very sticky. It's kind of, they're very thin tape. We'll try one and see how it works. If not, then we're going to go to our Old Faithful Golf Works 2-inch tape, which, I mean, that's what I would use anyway. If we remember, per the measurements that we took for the individual, his hand, his hand measurement, so from this crease here to his longest finger, was 7.5 inches. Now that is right smack at the max for standard and the min for mid-size. Standard size is too small, mid-size is too big, so we are gonna go with a standard +1 wrap here, and I think that should be fine. These grips are a little bit thicker walled than normal, even though they do stay standard size. Should be fine. So we're gonna go a +1 on these, and we'll do one. You guys have seen grip changes before. This is not anything new. This is not rocket science. But let's go over to the grip station and get it set up. As mentioned before, when I set these up, I set them up so that they are set in playing position, right? That's our leading edge. I make sure that that is 180 degrees perpendicular to our setup line. This ensures too that there's not a lot of shift that you need to do on your part to get the grip straight. I have all of my build-ups already pre-cut. They are gonna go right about here. All right, so we're gonna try this grip tape that Champ Key sent. Let's go and give it a look here. We're gonna go just the same distance as our wrap. We don't need to go any more than that. It feels pretty sticky here. So I'm not too concerned. So we've got our Brampton HF100 solvent. This is the only solvent I will ever use. Set up into our drip tray. Let's make sure that I always have solvent, never runs out. We're gonna go logo up here. Okay, it went on pretty good. Okay, that is pretty straight. Now I always use a second grip that is not stretched out as a reference point to make sure that we've got the right length of the grip. If you don't stretch it to the right amount, you will get a grip that is thicker than standard, right? So if it's shorter, that wall is going to be a little thicker. So we are just about perfect right there. Give it one more little stretch and hold. And we're good. Set up a little closed. So all the clubs are a little different with how they lay. So what looks like maybe straight when it's not engaging the ground may actually be closed or open, so forth and so on. So once you figure out the first one, you should be pretty good. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll put this back in now that I know that this is square, and just basically take a mental image of what that face looks like left and right. So when I go back and do the rest of them, there's not a lot of adjustment that is needed. All right, let's finish these up and we will show the whole thing here when they're all done. Okay, so all the regripping is done. Funny, when I went to go put this away, I found I had a brand new one too that I hadn't even opened. So yeah, clearly we don't use this, but I will say that that tape worked really, really good. And I'm actually gonna look and see if they sell that tape individually. It's a lot of trash that goes with it, right? You're peeling off one side and then a double on the other. So there's a lot of extra waste compared to like your normal double-sided tape, which is only one strip that you peel off and throw away. But other than that, I mean, for onesies, twosies here or there, I think it would work perfectly fine. So the only thing that we did that I didn't do on camera, and a good thing I remembered, was for our 4-iron. Remember, we had to counterweight that. So we put the counterweight in and just regripped right over top of it, and this is done. We went and checked all of our swing weights. All of them are completely in line of where we need to be. So we are looking good on that. overall, I think this came out pretty good in terms of, you know, where we started with these. Remember, these clubs were, the club heads were 10, 12, maybe even 14 years old. Where they ended up after all of that, new paint fill, new finish. When it comes to Ferrules, I don't think anything would ever look bad against a black club. I would highly suggest, if you are looking and you have a set that you have been thinking about redoing, or you see something online and they're still, I mean, they don't even have to be in great shape, right? They're gonna buff them and clean them and get all the nicks out and everything. It really opens you up to a ton of possibilities in terms of what your next set could be, because it really is just, whenever you're looking at a set of clubs now, don't look at the damage to them. Obviously big nicks and gouges, sure, but wear marks, grooves, it's irrelevant now. These guys can make these practically brand new and put a new finish on there for you. They offer like 7 or 8 different finishes. I think for old iron sets, this has completely opened up a totally new avenue for me when it comes to not only clubs that I would consider playing or clubs that I wanted to play in the past. It's kind of go into that nostalgic feel, but also for players that are getting started. They want something new. They want something for their kids. Opens up a ton of opportunity at a fraction of the cost it would be to get a new set of irons. So until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure that you swing as hard as you can, just in case you hit the ball. G2 out.